Hello, and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people who do incredible things. Hi, we're back with a brand new intro. Hi, I'm Trey. And back to blur the lines between reality and fantasy, Emily. Hi, Emily.
I'm here with my blur tool.
Wee, 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 wee. That's the sound of blurring. Wee, wee,
That's what
wee.
it sounds like.
How have you been?
Good, good. We're into the new year, and it's feeling good.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. How about you?
Doing all right. I signed up to do a miscast cabaret at a local theater here. They had to postpone it a little bit later in the year, so stay tuned for when that will happen. Um, who knew that January was the month of illnesses? Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. For those of us who don't know, um, tell us what a miscast cabaret is.
So, miscast cabaret, think about roles that you have either aged out of or you're not quite ready for, or a role that you would never get cast in, and you choose one of the songs from that character and perform it. So, in this case, I was hired to sing um, When You're Good to Mama from Chicago, playing matron
Oh,
Mama Morton.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it sounds like fun.
It is. You can put your own spin on it. It doesn't have to be exactly like the character. It can be your own flavor of it. So if you ever see a miscast cabaret in your local area, that's kind of what it's about.
Have you ever sang a song from the Muppets in an audition?
Um, no, but I have run out of an audition room screaming like Kermit. "Ah!"
Really?
No, in my head,
Oh.
yes, but
Oh, I was like, did you get the part because of it?
no, that's actually why they didn't hire me.
Like, we're gonna send you our notes, Trey.
We have lots of them. But uh, I, but yeah, I'm really excited to join it whenever they are ready to do the miscast. There are lots of like theater things happening later in the year that I'm excited to get to, but I'm really excited to talk to our guest tonight. So, would you do us the
Yeah.
honor of introducing our guest?
Oh, you know I would. I'm very excited about this. Today, we're joined by photographer Julie Floro, an artist who creates dreamlike images rooted in nostalgia, imagination, and the space between waking and dreaming. Her work invites us to step out of ordinary reality, and I am here for every pixel of it. So, welcome to the podcast, Julie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much
So
for joining
excited.
us. I do have to say, one of the things that struck me the most was a quote, and if you'll indulge me, well, I want to definitely get to your backstory. But the thing that struck me the most was, for me, growing up has always been about becoming more in tune with the person you're always meant to be, meant shamelessly pursuing the things we love without a fear of what others will think. Um, how did you get so deep, and how can I be more like you in that way?
That's so kind. Thank you, Trey. I think for me, I really pulled those few sentences from just the idea that as we grow up, there's this unspoken pressure to just be conform and become this thing that the world thinks that we should be. Like it's grow up, get a job, get married, have kids, pay the bills, watch TV, go to sleep, repeat. And I think that I believe that all of us, when we're young, we all have this special destiny that is so much greater than that. Just going to work, paying the bills, going to sleep, repeat. And I think that so much of it is about breaking the mold to realize that there's something that we were all always like a path that we could take. And it's like, do we choose to take that path to pursue who we are truly meant to be, or do we choose to take the path that the world says that we're supposed to do, which is kind of just conforming to what everyday life looks like for modern America in general? Does that answer your question?
It absolutely does. So I'm curious. So if this is where we are now, how did you arrive at that? Like, can you walk us through how you found your journey along to this current state of being?
Hey, Trey, can you ask that again? You're muted suddenly. Not
Oh,
muted totally, just muffled.
okay. Sorry.
There we
Um,
go. That's better.
so if those couple of sentences are where you are now, how did you arrive at that point?
Yeah, I would say that arriving there came through a series of just being faced with those pressures of, okay, here's what you're supposed to do next, and really feeling in my heart like it felt really wrong, like it wasn't what I was supposed to do, or it kind of sucked the joy out of my life, or it just didn't feel like me. Like from the beginning, I always knew I wasn't going to go to college, and I pretty much always knew I wanted to be a photographer. And then that was challenged of like, okay, well, you still have to go to college, and okay, well, you still have to figure out what you might want to pursue. Like that's cute that you want to be a photographer, but like let's be real about it. You need to figure out some other options. And that initially felt so wrong to me in my heart because I knew I'm like, if I'm passionate about this thing and this is what I want to do, why am I not being encouraged to pursue that? That seems there's something wrong with that. And then, pushing back against that and following the career choice to be a photographer. And then even in that, it was like, well, you can't do fantasy and you can't do creativity. You're going to have to photograph like babies and weddings and families. So let's tone it down a little. And then I'm like, but why? Because I'm passionate and on fire for this like really unique out of the box stuff. Why is there not a market for that? And just constantly feeling like you're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to have a normal job, you're supposed to, sit at a desk and pay your bills. You're not supposed to go out and do weird, wild, creative stuff, and definitely not supposed to be successful at it. And I just feel like my whole life I've been pushing against what is considered normal and finding that it brings me so much joy. I mean, I can't even imagine if I had gone to college or pursued a job that wasn't photography or wasn't creative, or if I didn't listen to that little voice that told me to pursue creative photography and I just went about photographing families or babies or something that didn't bring me joy. Like I I know I wouldn't be a photographer anymore. So yeah, I guess I've arrived here from being challenged throughout my life and consistently pushing back, and finding that in pushing back, I have found not only success, but joy and true fulfillment.
How do
Well
we
said.
Very much so. How do we find these people that told you like, no, no, tone it down? Like, no, no, amp that stuff up.
Oh, okay, but I've been told that too, so it's totally relatable.
Yeah.
It's what are you doing? That's not realistic. That's not what people want of you when you're a photographer. It's you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
It fits in their box, not yours. And
Yeah.
so they try to put you in that. I've
Yeah.
been called crazy. I've been called a lot of things for the photography I do. And so it's totally relatable that that would be not seen as an artist in the same way as maybe a painter would be. And I feel like sometimes when you say like I'm a photographer, people must assume that you're not, that you're like, oh, I shoot, senior portraits or whatever.
Oh, 100%. Actually, it's funny because I I'm I've been full time doing this since 2017, and
Awesome.
even just the other day, I was talking to someone at a store, like someone who was running the store, and he heard that I was a photographer, and he was like, "Oh, have you ever thought about pursuing it as a job?" And I was like, "Oh, I do. It's my full time job." And he was like, "What?" And then he was like, "Oh, so you shoot like weddings and like families and stuff?" And I was like, "No, I actually shoot pretty much anything that's out of the ordinary and anything that's non-traditional and super weird and creative." And he was like, "What? That can't possibly be a thing." So it's like I'm how deep in my career already, and it's still being challenged, and like people are like, "Well, that's not possible."
And then you play
Yep.
them the Whitney Houston, "It's Possible."
Yeah.
We have a couple comments from the chat. One is from Josh. I mean, we get asked what we want to be when we grow up, starting when we're about 5 years old. So the pressure starts early. And then a question for you is, did you ever have a moment where you second guessed that, or when you found photography, you just knew it was where you fit, like a Cinderella slipper?
Hmm. I always knew, but it was a slightly different path. I always knew that I wanted to be a photographer from probably, I guess, the age of 12.
Okay.
I knew I want to be a photographer. I'm going to be a photographer, but I wanted to work for National Geographic. I wanted to be a National Geographic photographer, and I pursued that until I was about 18. And I mean, pursued that as in I was even a preteen emailing people at National Geographic, like, how can I prepare myself to make a portfolio? And how can I kind of like get a leg in this really competitive market for Nat Geo? And like, what schools should I go to? Like, I was a child and I was passionately pursuing it.
That's
And
awesome.
so I always knew I wanted to be a photographer, but it was definitely a very different end of the spectrum, which changed kind of midway through the journey. So yes, I always knew what I wanted to be, but it has pivoted in a way.
And that happens. We grow up, we change, we have interests that evolve. I did too. We all do. Excuse me. So you have been doing this for a while now as the type of photography that you do. What's something now that makes you look back at that and say, yeah, this is why I do what I do?
Wow. There's a lot of reasons why I would say I do what I do. I think one of the biggest ones is the people that I get to meet and the interactions that I get to have with them, and the ability that I have been given to help people who maybe have not been given as much creative freedom as I have been given my whole life, to welcome them to the table and to give them the freedom, that so many of us have been pushed down our whole life. Like, no, 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 don't think that, don't dream that, be normal. To give them permission to come sit at the table and be like, no, 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 don't be normal, be weird, dream big, anything is possible, and to help them make it happen and make it become a reality, and then see them living it out and just having so much fun and getting to wear magical things and be in these beautiful creative sets, and they're living it real life in real time. And that is just, there's just something so rewarding about giving people the permission to do that, because so many people grow up not getting that permission.
Yeah, the whole "you're weird" is not just accepted here, but encouraged. I'm
Yeah,
sure is something that a lot of people have never experienced before. And so being able to let loose in that moment probably comes as a let loose, you know what I mean, is something they maybe have never been in that situation before, or even maybe know how to do anymore at that point.
exactly. Yeah, I find that a lot of people, they might feel awkward or uncomfortable or silly, but creating a safe space where they feel like they can totally just not feel silly for doing the things that they enjoy, or going all out, or wearing a costume. It's just, yeah, it's really cool to spend time with people and for them to say, you made me feel so comfortable in an experience where kind of maybe went into it feeling uncomfortable or nervous, or and just kind of watching them literally blossom before me and kind of come back to those childlike roots that have been squelched down.
Something you said I think resonates, and it reminds me of this quote from Los Culturistas with Bone Yang and Matt Rogers. They had a guest on who, during part of their episode, will come in and give their 1 minute rant about something. And while it's in a slightly different context, I think the statement still runs true. Sometimes you have to wear the costume before it becomes the clothes. You have to allow somebody the permission to be their authentic self before it starts to feel like they could put on any piece of clothing and go, this is my clothing and I feel comfortable in this. And so then they start to open up and really be themselves in front of the camera.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful.
So for you, what's been a moment when working with someone that you have looked at them and went, that's it, right there. That's the shot. What was that moment like?
Well, I feel like there's definitely a moment where I can see them. There's always a moment where I can see people kind of step from uncertainty and nervousness and this feeling like a new experience for them to all of a sudden feeling comfortable and getting into character. And I often feel like that moment is when they start kind of just like moving on their own, or they have an idea that they get really excited about, because I not only am I there to create beautiful imagery of them, but I'm there to create a space where they feel safe to share their own creative ideas and kind of like speak their minds. So I feel like there's always a moment where I can just see it's like a switch, where they start moving on their own, or I can just see the confidence in them, or I show them a picture on the back of the camera and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that is me. And then from there, it's just like, it snowballs. And then by the end, they're like, that was the most fun thing I've ever done. I can't wait to do it again. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, watching people kind of come out of that shell. It takes a while though sometimes. Like I've noticed even when I'm shooting like a model that has modeled before, sometimes the first half hour is kind of just warming up. So there's always that. I know what you're talking about, that like switch where they're like, okay, I'm not as stiff anymore suddenly, and I can like.
It's funny because I say the same thing. It's always about 30 minutes. I'll watch, and after about 30 minutes in, I see people start to come to life.
Yeah, that's about right. Trey's been with me on a couple of shoots and might say the same thing. Same with horses; they take about the same amount of time.
There you go.
Accurate. I'm curious, is there something from one of your shoots that, like an unexpected item that you really wanted to use in a shoot, and you were intrigued by how it turned out during the shoot?
Oh, an unexpected item?
Wait, like she didn't expect the item and it was suddenly in the shoot? Or like
It was an item that you had decided on using and you were unsure about, and then it turned out to be like one of a fantastic inclusion into your photography.
Oh my gosh, what a question.
yeah, what a question.
I'm scrolling on my Instagram feed right now to be like, has this ever happened to me? I don't
feel
know.
that way about props often. If the prop like doesn't make sense, I feel like it's awkward and I'm not making it be what it needs to be, or like the model doesn't know how to hold it and we're struggling with like what's going to look good in that moment. We had this giant key once, like a big metal key, and nothing we did looked right. It wasn't an unexpected key, but it was an item that we just couldn't make work.
I don't usually bring a prop that I don't think I'm going to use, but I did do a shoot recently. It was a client shoot and she wanted to use a whole bunch of bones. And so I, am weird. So I collect bones and carcasses from the woods, and I have this whole big bucket of bones. And then I also have this big giant antler. And I was standing in front of my mirror, like, what am I going to do with this? I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it, but I don't really know what to do with an antler. How do I want to utilize this in the shoot? And I started standing in front of my mirror and playing with it on my head. And it turns out that the antler, the way the base of it curved, fits perfectly around a human head and goes down far enough that it became like this crown of this giant antler. And it was so unexpected. So I would say that's probably my most recent moment of having a prop that ended up becoming this thing that I didn't expect it to be. I mean, who picks up an antler and says, yeah, this'll be a crown? I mean, it was just from standing in front of the mirror and playing with how it drapes over the body that I realized that it could be. So we have photos of her wearing this antler crown that looks like it kind of blends into her head, and that was a really cool moment.
Cool. Yeah.
That is so cool. Wow.
Those are photos on your Instagram that we can see?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
actually in the first or second row. She's wearing a green dress, and you can see the antler on her head.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure our audience could go look at that. Oh yeah, sure enough, there it is. I want to make sure our audience could go look at that
Yes.
too.
It is there.
Very cool. So have you oh, I lost it. I have to minimize my window. There we go. What is like a dream project that you've wanted to do? Maybe you don't want to share that, but like, have you ever wanted to shoot at a specific location or do a shoot that maybe was a little bit lofty, or do you have something like that?
I have some shoots. I feel like a lot of them I want to keep secret.
Sure, of course, I understand that totally.
But I definitely have bucket list locations that are things that I don't even know where to find them. Like, I mean, it's funny because my work kind of spans the spectrum of from fantasy to just totally normal everyday places. So this is not fantasy, but I have always weirdly dreamed of shooting a cool liminal space photo shoot in one of those like old ball pits from the 90s with like the kids, like the rainbow balls. Can you picture that? But those places don't really exist anymore. So that's not really probably not too much an option for me. But I don't know. I'm more so someone who doesn't have bucket list places, but it's more just places that I see on a whim that get me excited. I don't know. I bet if I really thought about it for a while, I could make a small list of bucket list locations, but I don't know if I have a great answer for that.
Okay, that's fair. I was going to ask how some of these ideas come to fruition, and if many of them just come from clients, or if you have these ideas and go, okay, one day I want to do this thing, and one day I want, like you mentioned, you have some things you don't want to share. Are those projects that are, now I'm asking like 4 questions at once, and I tend to do that.
That's okay.
Do you have ideas that you're like, okay, I'm going to wait for the right client to come along to introduce this, or are those your personal projects?
Those are my personal projects. So client projects, it's all their idea and I'm kind of just helping them mold it and bring it to life. But I do have a whole list of my own concepts that I would like to do someday. And they typically just spark from a random prop that I'll have, or a location that I'll drive by and see, or something seasonal that I'll see maybe at the end of fall and then it's gone too quickly. And I'm like, I'm coming back to that next fall. Like I can tell you I have a photo shoot coming up in a couple weeks where I'm going to shoot inside an abandoned house with a couple doll houses and a couple. And that has been on my mind for probably like 2 or 3 years when I found this pink dollhouse someone was getting rid of it on Facebook. And I drove out at 9:00 at night. They were like, it's out on the curb for trash. I drove out at 9:00 at night, got this pink dollhouse, and I've had the idea in my head, just waiting for the right moment, all the pieces to come together. Like, where am I going to shoot this? Who am I going to shoot it with? What are the props going to be? And it's finally happening. So I have a lot of those things where it's like, I'll find a prop or a piece of clothing or a location, and it might sit and marinate in my head even for years until it kind of comes full circle. So I have a whole list of those. Not all of them are ready, but I'm ready to do the dollhouse one. So I'm shooting that in a couple weeks, and it's going to be a couple, and I'm gonna utilize little doll furniture and
Cool.
cool lighting, and I have a several dollhouses. So that'll be interesting and fun.
I love that idea. That
Yeah.
that would be fun.
So cool. Um, I, an odd turn, but I am curious because you talk about creating that safe space, and there's a lot of vulnerability I think that comes with opening up and that sort of space. So I'm curious, what's something about either your own or your the people that you're photographing that you think most photographers overlook from a vulnerability standpoint?
Mm. I think just really being sensitive to remembering that everyone is nervous and most people don't know what they're doing and they need direction. Even trained models, they might know what they're doing, but they need direction, and making them feel held during the whole photo shoot, whether it be someone who's never been in front of the camera or a new model who's been, or a seasoned model who's been doing this for a while, just remembering that everybody is nervous and everybody has jitters in the beginning, and giving them direction the whole time, whether it be clearly um, clearly explaining the vision to them, or telling them how to pose and like doing the poses with them, not expecting them to just, okay, now go do your thing in front of the camera and I'm just going to click. Like I want people to feel so held and so cared for and so seen the whole time, that there's no moment where they're doubting themselves or wondering, do I look good, or is this weird, or I don't know what I'm doing. I never want them to feel like that. I always want them to feel like I've got them. And um, yeah, I guess mostly that comes from telling people how to pose during the whole shoot, pretty much giving them good direction.
That's really good insight. The way that you talk about it is with so much with as much care as I imagine that you give to the people on the set. Because I watch you as you've been describing this and your process so far, you light up when you talk about your creative vision. So there's so much joy that's emanating from you when you talk about it.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah,
I
I really do feel like it really feels like what I was created and destined to do. So that's really nice to hear you say that.
well, I've never heard another photographer talk about it that way, with making the client feel like held through the whole thing. I think that's something. I mean, that comforted me just thinking about it. And like that's not a photography experience I've ever had
Mm.
as a person being photographed. So that's refreshing to hear.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I did have my picture taken recently by someone who I don't really know very well, and she was really great. And I didn't. It was just for a professional photo, and I didn't expect, because I was like, oh gosh, now I have to put my like posing pants on and like figure out how I'm supposed to look, and I'm not ready for this. I didn't practice in the mirror. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it's
is
really
absolutely.
intimidating. Even if you're a photographer and you're like, oh, well, I pose people all the time and I know how this works and I should feel kind of comfortable. Like I still feel weird when someone photographs me because I'm like, I need to feel held. I need to not feel like I'm just being like cascaded into nothing. Like, okay, just do it. I want clear direction. I want
Yeah.
to feel like people genuinely care. And yeah, I feel like that's a really a rare thing that is very helpful for making people feel super comfortable and
And
genuinely meaning it.
hmm and when
Yeah.
that magic comes together, when you have, a someone who feels comfortable in that moment, who's maybe even taking that on themselves to be that character now, the 30 minutes are past and the lighting is right and the angle is right and all the things are right, you can create this magic that sometimes maybe you weren't even expecting. Do you
Yeah.
have some wow moments that you could share with us that are moments like that where like it came together and it even made you go, ooh, right there?
Oh gosh, I feel like that's so many photo shoots.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's amazing. That's how it should be, right? So many
Yes.
photo shoots.
I'm trying to think of a specific. Um, mm, mm. I don't know. I don't know if I can think of a specific.
Okay. You know, I want to share one thing with our audience. Imagine having a job where you can say, there are so many times it happens where I get to go, ooh, that's it right there in my job. How lucky and amazing that is.
Yeah, it's definitely like a pinch me moment. I honestly feel like I can't give you an answer because I feel like it happens at least at one point in almost every shoot where it's just like, oh, that's the photo, that's the moment, and it's just this. It's just a really cool feeling that you can't totally explain unless you've been there and you've experienced it. But I
Yeah,
love that you
that's
have
true.
also experienced that, so I feel like you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we have quite a few like you. There are a couple that come to mind for me just because they were surprising. But I just thought maybe you had a similar thing. And it thrills me to know that you also experienced that. There was one that Trey was at that I brought up a couple times on the show now.
Can I tell the story?
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
I feel like I've talked a lot. Please talk.
No, because this was a time that I'm going to tell you the whole production team saw it before the models did.
We had
So
we had a big team for that one.
so the shoot uh, was just two people. We were shooting in this state park that was close to us, and shooting in like I would say like early morning hours to roughly mid afternoon. And the two models were walking. Do what?
No, no, please continue. I
Okay.
was trying to remember whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
So we had crossed over this bridge. We were taking a moment. The light was just, it wasn't working. So we were trying to find the right spot. And so the models had stepped aside for just a moment and stepped into this little alcove of trees, like right next to the bridge. And just at that moment, the clouds had parted, light came down, shining through the trees. We all looked up at these two models just standing there in this moment of intimacy. The male model for that shoot moved like a piece of hair across the female model's face, and we all went, "Stop! Don't move! No! Just don't!" And Emily, I have never seen move faster with a camera and just like go in and start clicking. And it was a stunning thing to watch in person. And then you go back and you look at the way that they're looking at each other in this moment with the light, with the thing, and everybody just went, "This is the money shot.
Oh,
This is
I need to see that
stunning."
photo.
I'll look and see where it is on my Instagram.
You
Keep
know what?
talking, Trey.
I did think of I feel like yeah. Sometimes when people ask me about specific photo shoots, it's like I've done so many that in the
Sure.
moment when I'm asked, I'm like, I've never done a photo shoot in my life because I can't think of
Right? Right.
specifics. But you know what? Maybe I do have a moment where I guess so you're asking like a moment where you didn't see it coming
Yeah,
and then
like
it happened.
yeah, I mean it's an unplanned angle or like in this case the models just kind of walked ahead and then into this around the corner into this area by this tree and that's when that happened. We didn't ask them to pose, we didn't ask them to do anything. They just were kind of just waiting for us and it turned out to be like the shot of the day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did. I can think of something actually off the top of my
Okay.
head. I feel like that does happen often when something happens that you're not planning for. But the one that's coming to my mind is earlier this spring, so 2025. it's now 2026, spring of
Yeah.
last year. I was shooting with a friend and we were out in this tall field of like a huge farm field of grass where the grass was like up to your chest. And we laid out a blanket in the field, pressed down the grass in this huge field of tall grass. And so she just looks like she's laying in this ocean of grass on this blanket, and we shot until sunset, and it was beautiful and it was dreamy and it was peaceful. And then at the end, as the sun was setting, actually it was after the sun had set, so it was like blue hour, we were like, all right, let's go
Nice.
home. And we picked up the blanket, and the blanket, since it had pressed down all of this really tall grass, almost created this like parting sea of just like
Oh,
dark emerald grass once the blanket was removed. And it just looked like she was standing in the middle of just like this parting sea of grass with these like billowing storm clouds coming in, and she had a lantern
Cool.
with her. And so I was like, wait, we have to do the photo. Like, it was my favorite photo of the whole shoot. The shoot was supposed to be about her laying on this blanket in the golden light, but there was like seeing the parted sea of grass with her in the dark with the lantern was like so unplanned and so beautiful. That's also on my Instagram, fairly towards the top. But yeah, sometimes those moments where you didn't see it coming and then it happens are just like, they're like the best moments in creating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when they take you by surprise and then that's the shot.
Yeah.
I love that too. I put in the chat for everybody who is with us live the links to that picture I was talking about.
Oh,
So yeah, that I love when I can be surprised, and when it's something that like or like when the whole crew is going, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing," you know.
yeah.
I did find this shot. It is just a couple rows down on your Instagram, and it's a girl laying on a white blanket.
Yeah. And if you scroll to the end of it, it's
Yes.
like a spliced image with, there's a moon at the top, and then there's a shot of her sitting in the pressed down grass.
Yeah. Love it. I love those moments so much. It's like
Yeah.
Christmas every day.
Yes.
Kind of on the flip side, we've talked a little bit about the things that have like really enriched us, but has there
Mhm.
ever been an idea that's come your way that you've had to turn down because it didn't resonate with you? And if so, what did you learn from that?
I mean, yeah, a lot of more so the kind of thing where people want me to photograph something normal, which I just feel like I don't do.
Right.
Like families or babies or, you know, normal senior stuff. I used to take a lot of work like that, but I found that when I took work like that, even amidst my creative work, it really made me feel burnt out and just uninspired. Like, honestly, like, I'm just not good at it. I mean, I can get it done, but for me, it's not about just getting it done. It's about creating this passion and this and art and the story. And so, yeah, I will occasionally turn down a shoot if I feel like it's not in my wheelhouse creatively. I really don't turn down too many shoots unless they feel like really unaligned with maybe something
Sure.
I believe in, or if it's just like, you know, not weird enough. So
If it's
yeah,
not weird enough, I like that.
I have moments like that. I've gotten really good at saying no though, which
That's
is something.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to get really good at saying no.
That's yeah. Well, I applaud that.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's hard to do. It's hard to learn to do and feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, especially if you want to make people happy, and you kind of got to push away that people pleaser a little bit and realize sometimes making other people happy is actually doing a disservice to them, because you're saying yes to something you're not going to be able to put your whole heart into. So it's actually kind of a blessing to say no to someone, and maybe passing them on to someone else who you think might serve them better.
Absolutely.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Okay. Talking about things that inspire you. I am curious, what in your everyday life inspires you to, I don't know, to just start, like, what would, if you were just looking around your room, what's something from your room that you look at that and you go, what could I do with that? And then you start creating a photo shoot from that.
I love light. That sounds so basic because it's like, yeah, you're a photographer. That's what we do. We paint with light, basically. But any kind of little pocket of light, I'm really into it right now. Like even just a couple nights ago, I did a whole self-portrait shoot of me because I was so inspired by the simplicity of the lights. I have 3 lights hanging over top of my kitchen table. And I was like, oh, the way those lights are hanging and just the way that they're kind of glowing downward. And I started picturing myself climbing on the table and like being under the light. And so I spent 3 hours the other night. I got all dolled up and I put this really fancy dress on and I was climbing around on top of my kitchen table, taking pictures with the light. And it was so much fun. And I got a chance to look at them last night and they turned out really neat. And like even this time last year, I took pictures with this carousel horse lamp. And I just I'm like holding the lamp and playing with it and seeing how it cascades different shadows and shapes on my face. So yeah, right now, I don't even remember the original question at this point. I got too excited. I think you asked.
I love it. I love it.
What did you ask? What's inspiring you, or what around your room inspires you?
Yeah, and I think you answered it.
Yeah, I love ordinary little everyday places. Like nothing gets me more excited than finding something magical in an ordinary everyday space. Like when you ask me about my bucket list locations, I'm like, I don't really know, but I got really excited about the lights over my dining room table.
Right?
It's just, I don't know. There's something just extra magical about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary and being able to see that, because so many people can't see that. And being able to see that and not only seeing it, but then being able to run with it and create something that actually looks really cool and being like, yeah, that was just my dining room table. So yeah, I love little ordinary pockets and I love little interesting lights.
So well said. So well said. That is exactly it. I invite our entire audience to take a moment and look at the space around them with that lens of wonder and find something like that in their space around them. I used to live in this apartment and I felt the same way. It was like, I don't have anywhere to photograph. I don't have anywhere to, or it's winter or whatever, where there's too much snow on the ground or whatever I'm experiencing. And you can still find it if you go and try.
Did you end up taking pictures in your apartment?
No, I was frustrated because I didn't have a yard or anything to it was like my apartment and then a parking lot and then the road and then a fence. And there was a little bit of grass around where the pool was, but it wasn't much. And it wasn't pretty. Like it was just grass, but when you get down in the grass, you can find cute little bugs, and you can find maybe some clover that's growing among the grass, and maybe there are other little plants growing that have little flowers you never noticed because you never got close enough. And so when you get down in this little, take a square foot or even smaller, 6-inch square of anything, and you might notice some things if you look hard enough. You'll notice some things you didn't know before. So that's what I ended up doing. I took a step out my door and found the closest patch of grass, and sure enough, and I can't remember. I even did a photo project on it, and I can't remember what it was called. It was like the backyard. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it was like that. It was, oh, here are these little flowers I didn't even know existed, and they don't even grow as tall as the grass, so you don't notice them. And I've been walking on them for years,
Mm.
and they're there, and yeah, I invite anybody to do that. Even if there is snow, there's beauty in snowflakes and ice.
Yeah, it's the fine art of noticing.
Yep,
So many
exactly.
people are looking for the big, the grand, the obvious, that they're missing out on all of the incredible things that are right in front of them that might
Hmm.
actually even be better and more exciting creatively than the big, the big, grand, trendy thing.
Yes. And we were talking before the show about Brooke Shaden for a minute, and it reminds me of like her approach. Like, this is a bed sheet, you know, this is a white wall, and I love that with the idea of creating with almost nothing. Kind of forces you to have some perspective on that, and I love that.
100%. I feel like all growing up, I didn't have a ton of resources in front of me. I didn't have a lot of money to buy big fancy things. And
Hmm.
thankfully I never let that stop me. And I kind of pulled that into my life as I progressed. And now I almost find even more joy and creative satisfaction from creating from the little bits that I have than spending the adult money that I could to get the fancy thing or go to the fancy place. It's like it's more fun to have the challenge and the treasure hunt of how can I utilize the space around me and what I have to make something really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Instead of it something stopping you or not letting you, it's how do I turn this around?
Exactly.
There are two moments that I think about, and I really wish that I had a camera to capture it. It was um, for me, because my life is so much more in music,
Yeah.
it's when things are either so harmonious that musically I cannot describe it to you in words, like you have to hear it,
Mm.
or it is the absence of noise and it is what happens in the stillness. And what I love, the moment I want to talk about is the stillness. And for anybody that has been in Lincoln, Nebraska specifically, there is a patch of about 6 blocks worth of homes and these apartment complexes where the road is so wide that you could walk across it and you don't know if you're walking on the actual road, you don't know if you're walking on the sidewalk, you don't know if you're walking on somebody's grass, but when snow is covering it. And
Oh,
my first snowfall of like big snowfall of that year, I woke up and it was so bright out, but there was no sun. And I was like, why is it so bright outside? I flung open my curtains, nothing but white, nothing
Oh,
but white. And a friend of mine invited me over to have like hot cocoa and just have a movie day. We were snowed out, so he's just like, "Come on over." His house was about 6 blocks away, which is why I referenced the 6 blocks. And I step outside. It is just raining down snow.
mm,
Not a single peep outside.
yeah.
And
mm,
all you could hear for a solid block was the sound of my feet crunch, 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 and nothing but white. And it was, oh my god, it was such a stunning moment.
mm. That's a
So
moment we live in forever. I can picture it.
Yep.
yeah, which is why I say I
Yeah.
want a camera so I could show you what that looks like.
Yeah.
But it is a memory I will capture and stay with me for a very long time.
That's awesome.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Well, coming out of my feelings for just a second, um, I am curious from your perspective, when it comes to people that may have approached you about getting into photography or um, that you've given some feedback to people getting started in photography. What are those pieces of advice that you've given them?
Hmm. I have a few. I would say the first big thing is to remember that it's going to take time to build your skill set. I feel like we live in this day where everything is instant. You know, everyone wants that instant gratification. And also you scroll on social media and you see beautiful art and fantastic photography, but you're seeing that, and you want that, but you're not seeing the whole journey that it may have taken for that person to get where they are. So if you're not thinking about that journey, you might just see that and wonder, why am I not that good? Why am I not shooting like that yet? And it's like, well, yeah, because you just picked up a camera like maybe even a year ago, and you're still learning how to use it. So my big thing is to remember that it's going to take time, and it's worth the time. It's worth the time that it's going to take, because you're going to build stronger roots in the end. So that, and then I guess I would also say to not focus on what anyone else is doing. Kind of like put your blinders on in a way and figure out what creatively excites you and what you're passionate about and what sets your soul on fire. Not what is trendy, not what's getting a lot of Instagram likes, not what people are telling you is or isn't going to be successful. Like, what do you like? And then just honing in on that. And kind of on that page, I love Pinterest, but stop scrolling Pinterest, because we are created to be creative, and we already have so much creative potential in our subconscious that's just waiting to come out. And if you're filling your brain with the noise of everything else that everyone else is creating, you're not giving yourself the quiet and the space for that stuff to surface from your subconscious. And then you're wondering, why can't I think of anything? Why am I not creative? Why is this person so good at just coming up with ideas and I can't think of anything? And it's like, well, are you spending more time consuming than you are creating? Or are you giving yourself the space to come up with ideas, or are you just constantly comparing yourself to everyone else's ideas? So, like I said, I love Pinterest. I think there's a time and a place for it. But for the love, stop scrolling Pinterest, especially if you're new and you don't know how to have boundaries with that sort of thing. Give yourself the space to just experiment and come up with your own ideas. And yeah, that's what I want to say.
Solid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can we get some applause in the chat and like in life? No, I think that's well said. I think I'm in that place of personally, and I'll be very vulnerable here to say that I think I've spent and have spent a lot of time consuming too much. So I've approached a little bit of that, and it's taken a while to get myself out of that rut. So I feel that, and I recognize that. So anyone else who's feeling like they're consuming and recognizes that, you're not alone. But it'll take time. Get off Pinterest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're necessarily made to consume as much as we do mentally. I feel like that's harmful in many ways, but it's also bad for oh my gosh, I had it and I lost it. What is that? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because the way to imposter syndrome is, but for sure, compare yourself to everybody else. And so if you're not comparing yourself, if you unplug and aren't comparing yourself to anyone else, and you're just out there creating and doing your thing, you're not going to have room for that. You're just going to grow.
That's such good advice. I deeply resonate with that.
Well, it's just building on what you said, because that was equally as powerful. I feel like they go hand in hand. And we deal with a lot of imposter syndrome because there's so much to consume.
Yeah.
And there's enough for everybody. There's enough there, like, even that we mentioned before the show, that photo shoot with the Christmas tree dress. There's other people that have done Christmas tree dress photo shoots. No one's going to do it the same. So you can still go do something and not worry about if you're copying anybody.
Right.
because you're going to do your own thing. You're focused on doing your own thing, and it's okay if someone else out there did a similar thing because you won't have seen their work to have copied it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still worth approaching and putting your own spin on it.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I felt like you were going to ask something.
No, I was going to say, Trey, you should ask your question.
Oh, I've had so many questions, but
I know.
all right,
We could talk for hours.
So the question we like to ask every guest is something that has nothing to do with anything we've talked about thus far, which is you're sitting down to have lunch with anybody in the world, alive or dead. Who is sitting on the opposite side of that table from you?
You know what? When you braced me with that question in the beginning, my gut response, and I sat with it for the whole podcast, and I'm still feeling that gut response. I don't know if you're going to expect this, but I would sit down to lunch with Jesus because Jesus has deeply impacted my life. He has given me, I believe my talent is from God, and the kindness and the generosity and the creativity that flows from me is a gift from God, and it's a gift from Jesus. And I don't know if that's what you expected me to say, but I would love to. I would love to sit and hear what he thinks of what I'm doing, and how he wants me to further impact others with just loving people and sharing my gift. So that is my answer. I would have lunch with Jesus.
Well said. Love that.
I would want to know about that conversation. And I want to know what he would order for food. That would be fascinating
Ooh,
as well.
me too.
And does he like the Carpenters for music?
Oh my gosh, you have to ask that now.
All right, if I ever get to sit down to lunch with Jesus, I will make sure to ask him, and I will let you know what his lunch order was.
Archer says in the chat, it'd have to be kosher.
Oh my gosh.
That's fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Well, Julie, I want to make sure that our listening audience can stay in touch with you and take in, as not to go back to the consumption, but be supportive as much as they are able to. Where can our listening audience find you and your incredible creativity?
Oh, thank you, Trey. I'm on Instagram at Julie_Floro. And that's pretty much it. It's just Instagram.
And then your website?
Website is juliefloro.com.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Your website is fabulous, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Visually beautiful.
I had the best web designer, Kat Cosma. She really made the dream happen. She's fantastic. Anyone should hire her for your website.
Okay.
And
shout out to her.
Yeah, and she's also linked on there
Yes,
in the footer. So if you want web design, Kat Cosma.
She's the best. She's the best one out there. Best web designer. Worth every penny.
Great job.
Well, Julie, I have to say, you talk about your art and you talk about your creativity with such passion, with such fervor. I would like to believe that I could go out with a camera and do what you do, but I'm just going to be in awe and inspired by you and this conversation. So thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing your creativity.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was a great time.
It was.
Yeah. As we close this episode out, before we finally wrap up, I do want to remind our listening audience that we have a live unrehearsed script reading of The Princess Bride coming up this Sunday. The Sunday, January 18th. It starts at 2 p.m. Is that 2 p.m. Central or 2 p.m. Eastern?
It's 2 p.m. Central.
2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern time. It is completely unrehearsed. There will be lots of familiar faces that will be joining us. We are not going to tell you who's playing whom. You'll just have to show up, find out, and enjoy along with us, because it may not be exactly what you're thinking of. But either way, join us live as we do that loving movie that Emily and I love, that I'm sure that you love as well, or will come to love after you hear our fantastic script reading. The
No guarantees you'll love it because of our script reading, but
Oh no, they're gonna love it because of our script reading.
okay, all right.
But with that, you can find additional episodes on our website at themodrom.com or wherever you partake of your particular podcasts. You can support us on Patreon if you are able. Search for The Modrom on Patreon. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and have a great evening. Bye, everybody.